Hello, and welcome back to Armageddon Empires. I'm still trying to sort out some of the sound issues that I'm having, some of the popping and stuff like that. I've tried fiddling with it, but it still seems to be causing some problems where my voice just randomly cuts out for like half a second, which is annoying when it's in the middle of a sentence or something. But yeah, so anyhow, it doesn't seem to be as noticeable with Armageddon Empires, it's more so with Might and Magic. So with that in mind, I figured let's play some Armageddon Empires. And I did edit my Imperial deck ever so slightly. Basically, all I did was, in the Imperial Infantry, I added 2 Emperor's Own, just to kind of bulk out my forces a little bit, make it not quite so lean, so I can afford to take a loss or two as the game progresses. And without it necessarily hamstringing an army. It did get me up to 42 cards and 108 points, but I think that's still pretty reasonable. So we're going to create a new game. Oh, and also I forgot to show you during the deck creation my tiles, because you also have to pick your starting tiles as well. These are sort of your initial resources and stuff like that. And I always go for a minimum of 10 points. 10 points is usually all I go for, because otherwise, especially playing as the humans, your only option is to pick the staging area, and that's kind of boring. Like, you can't even take the abandoned factories. So, yeah. And you would not want to take the abandoned factories, because literally all of the human units require human resources, and the abandoned factories give you none. So, yeah. Other interesting options, Crater Base isn't bad, but I do like the Abandoned Base just because it gives you that spread. Again, if your home base is being attacked, you're probably already losing the game, so I don't tend to worry that much about making my home base super fortified. Worst comes to worst, I can find secondary bases usually that sort of make up that. So anyhow, without further ado, let's go. Set the tile points to 10. We're going to do the Imperial YouTube and leave the map size on normal, resources uncommon, specials uncommon. We're going to have 2 random opponents and no Cults of the Wasteland. Pretty straightforward game. Looks like we're up against the Free Mutants and the Machine Empire. Okay, so we're going to be placing tiles second, which means absolutely nothing. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the debris field. I'm going to do the abandoned base there. That's going to be my base. And we'll set that tile. And then we're going to do the debris field right there. Now we'll put the Imperial Palace in the abandoned base, and off we go. Let's see what we get for a starting hand. I did actually play through this before, and actually recorded it, and ended up abandoning it, because I made it through till, like, I was down to 10 cards in my deck, and I still hadn't drawn a general, which is pretty wild. And basically, it just wasn't going to be a tenable game at that point. I couldn't project force or anything like that. Okay, so first turn, not much I can do. Looking at my hand here, it's a pretty good hand. I would have liked some cheaper recon than the Rangers, but having Rangers in hand is always good. The Minotaurs, I'm less fussed about, but I'll want them eventually. Cheetah is good because I know I'll be getting infantry soon, and the Cheetah goes great with any kind of infantry. And then the Panther's great, and Cornelia West is an amazing one to get right off the bat, because she reduces the cost to draw cards by 1 if she's in my headquarters. So I'm going to get her out next turn, unless I draw something really crazy here, which I did not. So other than that, I'm just going to create a new army, and I'm not even going to bother naming it, because if you want to rename armies, you just hold down the home key and click, and then you can change the army name. It doesn't cost any action points or anything like that. And so yeah, next turn it looks like I'll be deploying Cornelia West and probably drawing more cards because I'm unlikely to be able to do much of anything else. So nothing else I can do on this turn. It takes 3 action points to create an army. So yeah, we'll just end that turn. And we're going third, which isn't going to make a big difference. So I could theoretically deploy the Panther, but realistically, far better to get Cornelia out sooner rather than later, because she also gets me increased action points. So right off the bat, I am just automatically more efficient. She's an amazing person to get out that early on. And right away, I'm probably going to want to get the recruiting post. I could do either of those next turn. Both would be useful. But for now, we'll draw another card. Ooh, and I got a general. Hey, there's a bonus after God knows how many hand draws on the other card or on the other deck without drawing a general. I get Vladimir on turn 2, so that is nice. He's a great guy to as a starting general. I like using Stark for more offensive stuff, but to putter around my territory and sort of try and keep it safe, it's always good to look at Vladimir. So at this point too, and normally I actually do this on turn 1, I just kind of forgot this time, I like taking a look at the overall map. So it looks like we've got some pretty heavy terrain up on this flank. There's a pass through here, and that's really about it. Like if we look at our supply, that town is in range, or that city's in range, which is interesting and probably something I'll want to exploit. Got a little town out this direction as well. But over here, the terrain is pretty open. So chances are my first target's going to be off in this direction because I'll be able to push supply that way faster and easier than here. And the AI is going to have a tough time pushing supply down through all this garbage as well. Like, that takes 2 movement points, that takes 2 movement points, all the mountains take 3. Like, it's just going to be a pain in the butt to push through. So I'm not as concerned about this flank. And yeah, I think this is going to be my first target. The other thing I want to see is if there are any tiles that just look unusual. And the only one I'm kind of seeing is potentially this. Sometimes when you see tiles like this that just don't fit, like you don't see any other examples of them on the map, this might just be like a Badlands-y type thing, kind of like the hills, but I don't think it is. And usually when you see that, it means there's something cool built into that. Like there's a cool thing that is spawned there. There's one of them that's really neat. It's actually, you can see it on the map. There's a submarine that's just sort of sitting in the middle of the desert. And if you go there, you can pull out a Trident missile and strap it onto one of your planes. So with 3 AP left and my hand full, nothing else to do as far as action points are concerned this turn. So yeah, let's just end this turn and see where we go from here. Going third again, not that it really matters. Debating if I want to get the cheat out just to free up the space in my hand, or alternatively, you know what? I'm going to do the recruiting post. It's going to mean I can't draw anything, but that will net me 2 human resources, and I would like to get those pioneers out. ASAP, because I would rather have them putzing off into the debris field to build my solar panels rather than Cornelia. Sorry, just give me a second. Apologies, had to cough there. Okay, so yeah, not much else to do on this turn, so we'll just create another army and roll the turn. But yeah, having those 8 action points, even when I'm going third, is incredibly useful. So I guess realistically at this point, it probably would make sense for me to get some sort of defenses up. And with that in mind, I'm actually going to drop the Panther in. And we'll draw another card. Oh, we got a recon, so I'm going to be definitely deploying that next turn. Interesting that it took me this long to actually get a recon card. I mean, I'm not terribly fussed about it because it's yeah, not a panic yet, but it'll be nice to have that out so I can see what's in there and sort of poke around and just check out what my territory looks like overall. Nothing else I can do with 2 action points, so we'll go right ahead. Go in third again. So let's drop the recon, get it into one of these armies, rename it to Recon 1, and stealth it up and start exploring. Let's see what we got here. Cannibals, that's not too scary. Oh, and hey, we got a materials right in the wasteland, right next to us. That is amazing. That's a fantastic thing to pick up. So at this point, I'm going to be able to start really cooking with gas. Materials is always something that's in short supply. And if I'm able to exploit that city with whatever's in there, which shouldn't be too big of an issue with just 3 cannibals in it, I'm going to have... I'm well set up for the first part of the game here. We'll draw another card. Got some Imperial Infantry. Those are good to have. But I also think that at this point I might want to hold out for 2 turns and get that materials team built. So next turn I might actually deploy Vladimir instead. Yeah. And then I am going to want to get these engineers out to pick up those 2 spots as well. And hand is full, so we will just create another army and end the turn. Oh, Freebute, they're both burning some resources here. Interesting. Okay, let's see how far my supply goes. Let's claim the fuel storage tanks. More energy, always good. Oh, tentacle beasts are a pain in the butt. We'll stealth him back up. Let's get Vladimir deployed here, and we'll put him in an army that we will rename Lost Crusaders. Cool. And we'll give him the Panther as well. Realistically, there's a good chance he'd be able to go in there and kill those cannibals just with the tank, but I'm not going to risk it. It would take damage, and no point in taking damage that you don't have to. Okay. Let's draw another card. Okay, we got the Joint Strike Fighter. That is good. And we'll do another army. So a bit of a slower start here. But not too bad. Need to get the resources up and going. But again, I mean, this is always a game about priorities, right? The importance of... And I mean, I'm burning through stuff a bit quicker than would necessarily be normal because of the So yeah, I'm going to do the materials team. That'll pay for itself in 2 turns. Okay. Oh, I should have checked that hex as well. Oh well, not the end of the world. No point in burning fuel to kill cannibals. I might use that against those tentacle beasts, because if you look at the tentacle beasts, 4 attack, 2 defense, but anytime they hit something, if that is a biological unit, so, and I think that's all human units, they do 4 extra damage minus the defender's roll based on the defender's resistance. So like these Imperial Infantry, they have a resistance of 1. They're screwed if they get hit by a tentacle beast. The Rangers can kind of sort of manage it, but so many of my troops have very low resistances. It's one of the weaknesses of the human faction. Oh, they must have moved already. Do I want to build more? Yeah, we'll create another army. Hand is full, though. We'll just leave it at that. Mutants are really burning resources to try and go first here. Greedy. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to hold off one more turn so that I can get those engineers deployed and start building up out there. And more. There's human resources there. This is amazing. And an independent, 2 independent outposts. Okay. So, oh, the Underhive. This is a fantastic independent site. Gives me 1 human, 1 material, 1 energy. And it's a supply and a barracks. And it is hardened. And it's got defenses of 6. So realistically, it would make a lot of sense for me to move my headquarters there. Pump Station Zebra gives me 2 energy. I'm going to be spoiled for supplies in this game. That's fantastic. Okay. Everything's coming up Dave right now. Yeah, we're going to hold off. Actually, I could afford to deploy these guys this turn because they're going to take 1 material, which would drop me down to 1, but I'll get 2 next turn, so I would have enough to deploy the Pioneers next turn. So we'll do that. We're going to add them to Kost's Crusaders. And then before I start rolling out, I'm going to get the Cheetah in that army as well. But for now, we're going to draw another card, and we get Eric Mai. Cool. I'm not going to deploy him this turn, but he is going to end up being the commander of my base here, because he's going to be a tactician. I don't remember if Pump Station Zebra has defenders in it. I might roll the recon in there next turn just to see, because it would be cool if they didn't. I'd just de-stealth and claim it and get 2 energy. And then I can just hit all of the things with the Joint Strike Fighter whenever I want. Cool. So yeah, next turn is going to be build the Pioneers and get them out to start claiming some of these resources. Probably get the science going first, and then the materials, and then come down and pick up more humans. And we'll do 1 more army, because why not? Either the Free Mutants really lucked out with their resources around their cap, or, oh yeah, there is something in there. Rad zombies. And some dudes sacrificing a naked lady. Cool. Okay. Rad zombies can be a bit of a threat, but they're very low defense. The wave attack means that for each, +1 attack for each other wave attack unit in the front rank. So these guys will be a total of attack 5, which actually makes them kind of threatening. Not a huge concern at the moment, though, because we are going to be focusing on getting some of our... We'll go Engineer Battalion. I wonder if I spelled battalion correctly. I don't even know. But we're going to take Engineer Battalion. Oh, Christ. Well, the Free Mutants have found me, so let's attack them with the Engineers. You know what? Actually, we're just going to straight up assault them. We want them to die. Cool, kill them. So the mutants have found me, which suggests that the mutants are probably over here. We need 1 turn before I can get that tech up. And we'll just... Oh, a weapons cache. Oh, we're going to take this. A fuel air bomb. We are going to take that as well. Unfortunately, that does mean we filled up our hand again here, but the fuel air bomb is amazing. I'm going to keep it in hand for now. You can attach it to a plane, and then, yeah, basically it gives it 4 additional attack, and it does 3 additional damage, but it only works once. So it's better to save it for when you have to blow up something very large and very ugly, because it will do that to great effect. It'll get this up to 10 attack, and any damage it does do is multiplied by 3. So that's cool. That's a nice pickup. Like I said, it did end up taking up a slot in my hand, but I'm not terribly concerned about that. Okay. So the engineering battalion is doing its engineering things. I've got a ton of energy right now, so I think what I might do, I want to start softening up. Oh, I did not mean to attack Pump Station Zebra itself. Okay, good. I missed. I did not want to actually hit that. I meant to hit the army there. I wanted to kill one of the rad zombies. So that was an oops. At least I didn't do any damage, but just wasted some energy. Okay. You spend your... So start picking up some tech. And we'll stealth recon back up. I forgot to do that. Which is why I was really careful just to go back through areas I'd already seen. I didn't want to run into something. Engineer Battalion can move there. And I don't think they can... No, don't have the resources for it. Anyhow. But we'll build the scrap team there next turn. And do I want to deploy Eric Mai? I have the human resources for it and would free up a spot in my hand, so let's do it. And draw another card. Oh, an Intel Center. Even more action points. This is wonderful. Hey. So, I still have energy. This time, I'm going to actually hit the correct people. And we'll try to blow up some rad zombies. We're going to fail at blowing up some rad zombies. We are, however, going to damage them. That is acceptable. Now, if you're not familiar with the game, the way that air cards work is you don't actually deploy them on the map. Instead, it works more like a single bombing run. They make a single pass, they make a single attack, and then they go back to your hand. So it costs 3 action points and 2 energy to play this each and every time. but they can hit anything in range. So the Joint Strike Fighter here, or the JSF, which again sort of says the date the game came out, because this was back when the Joint Strike Fighter project was still a thing. But it has a range of 4, so I can hit anything within 4 hexes of one of my supply depots, which in this case is the abandoned base, or the Imperial Palace at the abandoned base, more accurately. So very, very handy to have. They can get destroyed. They do still have hit points, and there are anti-air weapons in the game that can shoot them down quite effectively, especially the mutants. You need to be really careful using air power against the mutants. It's really easy for them to get some pretty potent missile weapons or anti-air missiles from their tech without too much fuss. Not much else I can do with 2 action points and a handful of cards. We'll just end the turn. Still not worth it to burn resources, because I am more concerned with gathering them. And just because... Oh, there we go. Hello. What have we here? A Ravager. Okay. So that's a more powerful recon unit. If you look... And it's got commando. So it has 5 attack, 4 defense, and 5 hit points. So I think what I might actually do... Do I want to go out? My concern would be I might lose the infantry. So with that in mind, instead, we're going to do a bombing run, and I can actually do 2 if I feel so inspired. You suck. So I've hit him, did some damage. Now, the question is, do I go in with Kost's Crusaders to try and take them out, or do I do another bombing run? It's not worth the fuel air bomb, that's for darn sure. I mean, either way, I'm going to want my engineering battalion to get out of there. Or do I take this fight? Let's take this fight. Worst that's going to happen is I'll lose an Imperial infantry, and that is not the end of the world. So, let's do it. And let's just open up with an assault. And we killed him in 1 shot. That is excellent. That is what I like to see. Okay. Good job. Oh, I think I wasted the Engineer Battalion's movement, but that's okay. Yeah, once you've moved once, like if you've clicked on this, whether or not you actually move them, you can't do it again. So, yeah. Good move on my part. It was a risk, but I felt like it was worth it, because he could just tear apart my, all of my scrap collectors and everything like that there. There's a possibility he could have killed the engineers. I knew that the worst I'd lose there is the infantry. There was no way they were going to be able to take out that tank. So now I've got my recon up in here, which means that the Machine Empire is probably over here somewhere. And yeah, okay. Well, we're just about at the 30-minute mark here, so I think I'm going to put a cut in. We've only made it to turn 11, but so far a pretty solid start. I've got a really solid income here. The energy is going to take a little bit longer to get that up and running, because I got to deal with zombies. The Enormodome is going to get me an additional, or the Underhive rather, is going to get me an additional bunch of stuff as well. Humans, materials, and energy. at that point, it's actually going to be tech as my limiting factor. And I'm honestly kind of thinking that with cost right here, I might just roll them into these cannibals. Though I would like to get that cheetah out there first. We'll see. Maybe pull them back, get the cheetah deployed, and then take on the cannibals, just to toughen up my poor bloody infantry a bit. But yeah, that'll be for next episode. So until then, cheers.